Hello and welcome back to Minds Over Magic, the podcast where psychology meets romantasy. I'm Katya, a romantasy reader.
And I'm Catherine, your resident psychologist and psychotherapist.
Today we're joined by romantasy author Beth Ann Bautiste, whose debut novel, The Scent of Sea and Ash, was released almost a week ago. I'm thinking the date when this recording's coming out. That's about it. Congratulations, Beth Ann, and welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
I had the chance to read the book early, and I knew almost immediately that we had to invite you on our podcast. There's just so much to unpack. The found family, the grief, identity, belonging, and of course, fantasy tropes. But before we dive into all of this, for anyone who hasn't picked up The Scent of Sea and Ash yet, how would you describe this story?
Jess is a foundling with a secret gift, and she lives a very happy life with the people that found her. And she has secrets from them, but she also has a known gift. She wields beasts. And her brother gets kidnapped, and she goes with her sister to find him and bring him home. And in that process, she finds out all about her past, and it changes everything for her. I think it's really a story of family and love. Myself, that's how I feel about it. What defines a family and what defines love, and the lengths you go for both.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I have to say that I read a lot, and there's a lot of wonderful books out there. But when I picked up The Scent of Sea and Ash, just from the first page, I knew there's going to be something. Your writing is just incredible, really pulls you in, and the world is so rich and just full, so many different characters, so many different people, cultures. What first sparked the idea for this story?
Gosh, I honestly didn't have in mind that I was going to write anything. I've been reading a lot of romantasy, so I honestly had the feeling of like, if I was going to write something, I could write this. I could, because I enjoy it and I liked it and I connected with it. And then Pearl entered my mind, and he's pretty much sentient at this point. He's one of my POVs. He's one of my MMCs. And he told me the story, so I can't take any credit for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What I really enjoyed is that it was one of those books where my mind didn't try to connect the dots. My brain completely relaxed, and I just immersed into the story. And it was like you telling me the story, and I felt a bit like a flashback into the childhood, when grown-ups are telling you the story. You're just sitting there with the open mouth, like, okay, what's next? It's such a great feeling.
I love that.
There are not many books that do that to me, and there's nothing wrong with like trying to connect the dots, but there's just something really nice where you just can relax and just go with the flow, go with the story, instead of like trying to predict what's going to happen in the next page.
Right. I don't know if it takes like the annotators, if it is bad for them or not, but I don't annotate books, so I'm hoping they'll.
You lived in a lot of different places, right? I don't even know how many countries you lived in. It's like,
About
but
9.
you can.
Yeah.
Wow. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did any of them inspire the places, the cultures?
Yes, actually, a lot of from Chess's culture, from my FMC's culture, there are a lot of physical and noise kind of things, like they point with their lips and chin in the book, like that. That's Filipino. That was from the Philippines. I did that forever, and much to my mother's chagrin, she didn't like me doing that. But that's how I would point at things. It's like it's more polite than going like this. And the noise too, the Grammar's noise, which is, and they did that a lot too, and that could mean anything. Get your attention. It could mean stop. It could mean look. It could mean anything. So there's all of those things that were things that I took with me to other posts that I incorporated into to give my cultures in the book, weight and difference. Tess is not the same as Sarahwin and Davwin. That's totally different cultures.
I like the when we were chatting, you told me about the ink.
Yes,
that came from.
Yeah, so in the Dominican Republic, we would go down to the beaches and get our fish. And there was a fisherman there, and he had, and I always get this wrong. Is it impetigo or vitiligo? Vitiligo, I think. Is it where the white patches on the skin? I meant to
Mm.
look that up again. But anyway, he had that on his skin, and he would take squid ink and rub it on the white skin to protect from the sun, which made
Hmm.
him smell rather wonderful. But he, that stuck with me. And when I looked it up before I used it in my book, it has a lot of melanin in it, so it would
Uh-huh.
protect your skin.
Oh, wow.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that little detail. It's just so cool.
yeah, yeah.
So, how long had this world or these characters been living in your head before you started writing?
They just appeared. I mean,
Wow.
Pearl, I was felting because I have a little needle felting. That's what I was doing. I do pet portraits and things like that. And I was felting, and it just, bam, it just got into my head. It's actually a scene. I write in scenes, I don't write chronologically. So
Oh,
I
okay.
will, yeah, I'll live in a scene, I'll smell it, I'll see it, I'll hear it, I know everything that's happening in it, and then I'll write it, and then I'll figure out where it goes in the book, which is
Hmm.
hard for my editor. But
That's cool.
I put it all together first, but sometimes we rearrange things. And yeah, Pearl came in, and he was talking to me from a barrel full of seawater he was imprisoned in, and he was mad, and he was
Oh
thinking
my
about how
God.
many bones he was going to
Oh.
break for whoever reached into the barrel next with fresh water to keep him living. And then the boat that he was in sank,
Hmm.
and he escaped the barrel. With his one power, his thump, he escaped. And I was like, wow. And so I wrote it down in notes, and I wrote a few more scenes around it that came to me in the next day. Sent it to a friend of mine and said, would you read this? And she's just like, oh yeah. So I was like, oh, I guess I got to write the book then. So I wrote it. I wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great story. I love Chess's character. She's just so honest. Like the way she thinks about life, even the way she uses her beast gift. She
Hmm.
doesn't make them do something that they don't want. She's trying to persuade beasts to do something. She's trying to convince them rather than just
Right.
order them. And it's one of the first scenes in the book. She has to do this job, right, with the cows. With the cows?
Right. Yes, with the cows.
Yeah. And it kind of sets the scene. I'd really enjoyed her as the main character. Did you always know where
Hmm.
the story was going, or did it evolve as you wrote it?
Had no idea. Absolutely no idea. In fact, this book ended in a spot where I thought was a good ending, but also because I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen next. And then as soon as I decided that
Hmm.
was the ending, the rest of the story came in. But when I was sitting thinking, oh, maybe this is an 800-page book, which I had no desire to write, no desire to write an 800-page book. That's when it came. I was like, okay, I'm going to end it here. This is good. This is a good amount. It's a nice, get you into the story. And then the rest of the story
Yeah.
came in after that. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like as well that even though we get so many cultures, we get so many places, get so many people, it never
Mm.
feels like an info dump. It feels very much like we get to know the world as Chess goes on her journey.
Mhm.
First, we meet the people from her local town and their customs and how they live. And then, as she sails away and we meet more people and then we meet like other, and it just feels very natural, the progression. You never get like, oh my God, like what's going on? Though you do have like a glossary, right? with the
Yeah.
main characters, which is
Yes,
also
yes, I was told.
always helpful.
It is. It is. I mean, it's not as important as people think, because I know a lot of times glossaries have a lot of information in fantasy books, and mine does have the basic information, but it doesn't need to be memorized. You don't have to worry. I'll explain where we are and who we're with, and it'll make sense.
Hmm.
You don't have to
Yeah,
remember it for later.
yeah. So I wanted to ask you whether it was the world that came first or chess, but you made a few comments about Pearl, who is one of the main characters.
Pearl.
So was it Pearl who came
Hmm.
first?
Pearl, always Pearl. Yeah, and he has a lot to say. There he is behind me.
What,
He has a lot
what,
to say.
which is quite funny because he's not somebody who speaks a lot in the book.
He doesn't speak. Yeah, he doesn't speak. That's what's so funny, but he has a lot to say. Yeah. Hmm.
So, was there one part of the world that you were most excited to write?
Let me see. Well, I was really kind of excited to write all of it. I think the part that came easiest was at the fort, when they were all at the fort, because there was the ravens and the eagles, and
Hmm.
those were really my pseudo horses. So I really enjoyed that part.
And they are fascinating, all of them. I'm still trying to figure out how they all gonna come together in the next book.
You'll see. You'll see. Yeah.
Were there any parts of the world that never made it into the book?
Yeah, actually I shortened the sea voyage. I thought I would do more about the Lemaire, the
Uh-huh.
people that lived in the sea. I really
Yeah.
wanted to do more with them, but it just wasn't really to be.
Hmm.
So they might be I'd like to do a novella about Grandmere.
Oh,
So
okay.
we might really explore them in her book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you bring them back into book two or book three?
They'll be in book two, definitely be in book two. Yeah.
Okay,
Most of
we'll
these
see more of
people
them.
travel through us. Yeah, they'll travel. Most of these people travel through into book three. And book two, we will wrap up and visit places we did in book one. Book three is going to be a, not a different locale. We've been there, but it's going to be focused away from where chess started. Hmm.
Your protagonists, and I'm talking here about Chess and Pearl, they feel quite different from your typical romantasy lead characters.
Hmm.
Like both of them are shaped by their upbringing. I mean, in different ways, right? She comes from a world where chosen family is very important, and to her, it's so natural. His childhood was, well, he basically didn't really have childhood, because he was essentially enslaved. And he's very different from your like typical MMC. And he's not the only MMC as well. What was the biggest challenge in writing them, Chess and Pearl?
Mm. Well, I had a hard time finding Chess's voice because Pearl was so loud, and he was telling me the story. So to
Hmm.
find, to make it from her point of view, it took me a minute to find her, and I didn't want her to be. I mean, and I'm fine. I'm not knocking anybody's tortured and tormented FMC. I read all those, and I'm just like, oh, I love it, But I didn't want to write that. I didn't want
Uh-huh.
to write that, and I didn't. I wanted these people to feel like in The Hobbit, like you could meet them.
Hmm.
They're hobbits. They just have their upbringing and their values and their culture that they take with them, and that is how they succeed. It's not because they find out they're magical. It's not because they go to an academy and they learn all about magic, or they get really mad and they learn how to use a sword and they train. It's not like that at all. It's these people in this
Hmm.
situation, you know shaped by how they grew up, and no special nothing. It's almost, to me, and I'm understanding now it's not, but to me this was an entry level fantasy type of book.
Hmm.
It's written in what my mother would call plain talk. There's no frill, it's just very easy to read and very easy to get immersed in. And that was my thought, but I do hear a lot of people saying there's a lot of moving parts and there's so many people, and for some people, they don't enjoy that. They would rather a much more focused story on the two main characters. But I
Hmm.
didn't write that. I didn't write a book like that. So the third book might be a little more like that, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's probably easier to write when you have only two characters and the stories
Mhm.
based around them. Here you have so many moving pieces, and it's very clear to me that I don't know where the story is going, but it's very clear to me that it's all going to come together and everything is done for a reason.
Mhm.
And one
Mhm.
thing about Chess is how she, with the found family, with a choice, how much it is important, like how natural it is for her well, you're my family. Like, I choose you to be part of my family, and that's it. And it's something that she grew up with. That's her nature, essentially. And people around her, people that she meets later in the book, don't quite understand it. Even people who
No.
are her real family.
Right, right. Yeah, that is totally outside of their wheelhouse. And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Oh, you know." And that they
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. Exactly.
They
Yeah.
don't get it. Yeah.
That's the interesting part, right? Like, you have people who are related to her by blood versus people who grew up with her, or who
Right.
share her beliefs. Did Pearl grow up in the same? Did he have the same idea of the chosen family?
Yes, I mean, they're the closest in culture. So he's Cyrene. And he was taken later in life to be a slave. I mean, right after the wave. So, and it's not really apparent. I didn't go into a lot of detail about how
Hmm.
he ended up where he ended up, but he was he was born to protect his people. He's, his one song to protect the islands of the Cyrene. And so he had no expectation outside. He was trained like a gladiator. So had no expectation outside of that. That is his life. He was revered but set apart in his growing up. I don't go into that as much. You get little snippets of it. But that's where he comes from, and it's from the sea, so it's similar to her
Hmm.
upbringing.
Hmm.
And that's why she relates very well to him, and why he
Hmm.
feels like home. He feels like home to her.
Yeah. Kat, how much does it influence, like in real life, those core beliefs that you get in your childhood? Like, how
Yeah.
important it is going forward for us?
Well, I think maybe one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about therapy and psychology is that once you discover new information about yourself in therapy or wherever, you should immediately become a different person or attach
Mhm.
yourself to those things. But core beliefs don't really work like that. So the beliefs that we develop in childhood become the lens through which we interpret the world. So if you've spent your whole entire life believing that family means things like loyalty and sacrifice and protecting the people that you love, those values don't just disappear simply because you enter a new environment or you learn new facts. But yeah. So what I think that Beth captures beautifully is that Chess doesn't really reject her past when she discovers her new biological family, but she constantly tries to integrate both identities. That actually is a healthy psychological development, and that's what that looks like. Growth isn't replacing who you were, it's just expanding your understanding of yourself while honoring where you came from.
Hmm.
That's why we love chess.
That's right. That's it. See, all those years of therapy I had paid off. Chess. Chess. I'm like, she's way better adjusted than I am. Listen.
I need
Uh,
to add her to my acculturation theory. Where do I belong?
yes.
Yeah, no, but it's true. Exactly that. She accepts it, right? And generally, as a person, she's very accepting of others, which is funny because when you grew up, like, she didn't travel really. And
Shouldn't
she
at
grew up in
all.
one
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, she grew up with her beliefs, and that's important to her. But then she meets all of those other people, and they're like, okay, well, you are what you are. Like, she doesn't say you were wrong. She just says, I'm sticking to what I believe, like, that's fine.
Right. Yeah. You do
um,
you and I do me. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Well, chess is surrounded by some fantastic characters, but let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay. It's a big elephant.
there, yes, there are two very important male characters, and I know readers have been asking you this question. Is
Oh
this
yeah.
a love triangle or is it white shoes?
Oh. Um I love tropes and I hate tropes because I did not set out to write a love triangle. So
Hmm.
in my mind, it feels more why choose, also because of Chess's beliefs, you know,
Hmm.
Hmm.
with how family is to her and how it feels to her. I have a
Hmm.
really good line in book two, and it's probably a spoiler, but I can tell you, and it explains a little bit more about how Chess thinks about choosing. She basically says choosing allows you brothers, sisters, lovers, and friends.
Hmm.
And that's important. Whereas something like a betrothal does
Hmm.
not allow you that, and it isolates you much more, and it asks a lot more of you. So But that line is in book 2, and I was like, I should have probably put that in book 1. Maybe it'll help people. So many people are struggling with that. They, I mean, they love the other MNC so much, and they should. He's a good dude, but he asks a lot of her. He asks so much of her, and Pearl doesn't ask anything, nothing of her. If you think about it.
Wow.
It's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now I have so many thoughts. Now you said that. Honestly, I didn't think of it this way because it feels like Sarah. We'll just say his name.
Say it.
We'll
People are
just
gonna
say
read
it.
Yes.
He seems like a great guy. He's very patient in a way that he also understands that she grew up in a very different world, and it's all very shocking to her when she finds out where she's actually from and how they are all connected. But you're right in terms of that he does ask more of her, even though you don't really see it. Like, he doesn't tell her this is what you should be doing, and like, no, like that's your destiny,
Right.
etc. But Pearl offers her choice, right? Like, again, not out loud, but just with his actions. What is it that you want? While Sarah is pushing her towards a certain fate.
Right. Because it means, he needs her, outside of everything else and the relationship and everything else. He needs her for this prophecy. And it releases him from the life that he thought he had to live, which he was okay with too. He's like, all right, I'm just going to be in the Corps. It's fine. And they didn't allow him to express his true nature because that's not who the Wynn are. They're not good friends of his people. So she opened up huge things for him, and it's why he's so careful with her.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And because of the other prophecy, or like not prophecy, prediction, the people in the caravan tell her.
Chess is offered a choice after she talks about one will have your heart and one will have your soul. And the choice you make, one will damn you, only you, and one will damn us all. And it's it's glossed over. Like, we move on. Chess kind of was like, what? Okay, that's weird. And then we go forward, in the journey. So
yeah. No, but I'm constantly thinking which one's heart, which one's soul. Which one's them, all of us. Because in my mind is that she has to go with Sarah. And so in my mind, that's the one that will damn her. Because she has to fulfill the prophecy. And if she doesn't fulfill the prophecy, and if she goes with Pearl, then that will damn all of us.
Everybody.
Whatever it says. That's my guess. But it's also one thing that I promised myself I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna
you
guess.
said you weren't connecting the dots. Here she is.
Yes, but I wasn't connecting the dots while I was reading it.
Oh, that's true. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Unfortunately, your book is in my head now.
Yay! I wanted to live rent free in as many heads as possible. That's what I want from my book. Even the people that hate it, even the people that are so mad and that are mean to Chess in reviews, and I'm just like, how can you be mean to poor Chess? She's so good, She's so good.
She is good, and the MMCs are good as well. And I understand why some people prefer Sarah, why some people prefer Pearl, because they're so different. And I think that's where the idea of the love triangle as well comes in.
Yes.
People see them as competing for her.
Right.
And so there is kind of that element of love triangle, which I didn't really see it as a love triangle.
See, I didn't either. But it's fine. People read what they read. So I'm like, okay. But I took that language out of, I had included it in Amazon because I just felt so bad that it was taking people by surprise. I mean, books are supposed to surprise you, in my estimation, but I felt bad, but I took it out. I took the language out. I left in why choose. I'm like there. And then I had somebody else tell me that why choose was code for sex, lots of sex with different men. I'm like, whatever. I'm leaving it.
Okay. I haven't heard that one yet.
I hadn't either. So I'm like, I can't keep
Why
up
choose?
with all of the little new. Yeah. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's like love triangle trope, right? Where she ends up with one of them, and it's like a basic competition between two MMCs, and then you
Hmm.
have white shoes, where she essentially ends up with both of them, and but everybody's
Right.
happy in that situation. That's when you have white shoes, as in there'll be
Okay.
one girl and there will be like a couple of guys, but
Yeah.
everybody's happy with that. Like, but in this particular case, it's not white shoes because Pearl is not that. Pearl will be happy to let her go, I think. Well, not happy, but he will accept her decision to be with Sarah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Sarah, I think, would struggle, but would accept her decision as well to be with Pearl.
Yeah. Hmm.
But they will not be happy with her being with both of them. Like, I
No.
can't see
Yeah.
it being that way. Like, I think that at the end she will have to choose. So there is an element of a love triangle in a way, but it's not really true love triangle. I can see people who, and I do want to talk about it, why we want to know,
Right.
why we need to
Hmm.
have it labeled. But
Hmm.
I can see why people who need labels and clarity, why they struggle. The reason why I didn't struggle is because if you read the book carefully, and you pay attention as you read, and you don't try to second guess what's happening, like, oh, this is the guy, and you just
Yeah.
let it go. You see that everything is a setup, and it's going somewhere. And that's when my mind started wandering in that direction. Oh, who is the guy? I was like, I'm not going to do that because I can see the setup and I don't know enough to understand all the undercurrents there. Readers often want to know exactly what kind of romance they're getting before they even pick the book up. Like, I can see quite often people will throw on their Instagram and your social media, they say, oh, I'm looking for enemies to lovers, or I'm looking for a slow burn. Have you read recently
Hmm.
anything? To me, that's actually a bit of a spoiler. I think the best
Hmm.
books, the books that I enjoy the most, are the books when I picked them up and I had no clue what was happening there. And it does, as you were talking about surprise, like you want a surprise. So if you're chasing for a certain trope, already
Hmm.
you know what you're getting, right? Before we unpack the psychology behind that, I'm just curious. Do you like knowing the tropes in advance, or do you prefer going completely blind?
I carry a little bit of prejudice since I've been reading so many romantasies. So if it says anything about an academy, except for Becky's book, I don't run to read it because I'm tired. I'm tired of walking to class and I'm tired of classrooms and dorm rooms, But I know some people love that and that's what they want to read. And I'm like, that's great. I read so many of them. I'm like, okay, I'm done now. I don't need to learn anybody's school schedule anymore.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's fair to say that it's Fourth Wing essentially. That's what brought the Academy thing.
Yeah.
Or I don't. Or maybe it's a Harry Potter. I don't know.
It might have been Potter. I mean, I read it
Might have been
before, but
Potter.
then yeah, I think it's Potter, but I kind of read it like then, and then there was a big space, and then there was Romantasy, and then everybody,
Yeah.
everybody was in an academy, and then my next thing now is everybody's in training, and I'm just like, oh, do none of these people have any skills that they brought to the table? Why are we in training? So, and I say that with Jen
I ask
because
myself
I
that
some of
every day.
see, and like you get to a certain age and you're like, these people have any skills already that we can just bring to the
No, I ask
table,
that about myself. Why am I in
Oh
training?
no.
I don't ask that about others. I know why they are. No, I'm kidding.
Again, question for Catherine. We need your expertise on that. Why do you
Mhm.
think so many readers want to know these things before start reading?
Yeah. Well, I think our brains naturally like predictability. I know I do, but I'm different like that. I don't need the surprise. Don't give me the surprise. Just tell me what's going to happen, and I'll read it happily. But it also reduces that anxiety and that uncertainty. And tropes give the readers an idea of an emotional journey that we're about to experience. So they're investing their time in that emotion, and especially with the long fantasy books, so that they want to know the story contains themes that they'll enjoy. That's why they're asking about the slow burn or things like that, because they don't want to be completely invested in something that they might come out different. So I think they act more like emotional signposts rather than plot spoilers. That way it creates that anticipation, and then they start looking for the moments that can build towards that so they can have the payoff. And the anticipation increases that engagement because readers wonder how the story will unfold, and not just what will happen, but how is it going to unfold. So readers often want the comfort of the familiar themes while still hoping to be surprised by the author's unique take on things. The best books, though, are familiar tropes in fresh, unexpected ways. And in the end, it's not just the tropes that keep us reading. I think it's the characters and the emotional depth and the storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that there are tropes which I don't like, which I'm happy to avoid. And I think one of them, I don't even know what it's called, but it's when they're enemies to lovers and he bullies her massively,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then something switches and they get together. And again, like, what I want to say is that I read, I think, only one book with that kind of, I don't know, trope, whatever it is. And I thought it wasn't great. It was just so abrupt. He was just bullying her and then they're together. It just felt weird. But saying that, I think if it's written well and if it makes sense, if there is some kind of, I don't know, remorse, if there is some kind of emotional journey that he has to do to atone, then maybe that would be fine. So I think to me, it's probably down to the style of writing. Because I'm also the one who was saying that I don't want love triangles. I don't like love triangles. But again, because when I read love triangles, they sounded like soap opera. Sounded very cheap, like, oh, we don't know what else to do. Let's just throw, like an X or, something. So I'm like, oh my God. But again, if it's written well and if it makes sense, if psychologically it makes sense as well, then yeah, why not? So I think, yeah, that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day.
I think that's what disappointed the one gal who was really unhappy with the love triangle aspect. It gave me a very low score, a very low star rating. She was reading it expecting, she wanted to know, she thought she knew where it was going. And she was very disappointed. And I can see that now that, Kat's explained it, why people like tropes and things like that. And that makes my book a little bit harder because I don't know how to tell people about it. It's like, it's not going to be, yes, it fits this trope by description, but it is not going to turn out the way that you think. So if I labeled it a love triangle and then book 2 comes along and all the love triangle people that love triangles will go, well, this isn't quite what I was expecting, so I can't do that. I'm just taking the language out, and I'm like, if you think it's a love triangle and you hated it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
I'm rooting for neither.
Okay. Root for Chess. That's who I want people to root for.
Yeah.
I want to know why you named the character Chess.
That is strategic. So
because I play chess. So
Yeah.
I thought, I wonder if she named the character Chess because of the strategy.
I mean, her full name is Chestnut, but she goes by Chess.
Chess.
So yes.
So to do with horses.
I was going to Chestnut's a horse name too.
Yes, Chestnut, a horse, and also my favorite nut. I love
Oh.
but it's strategic. I don't expect people to pick up all the stuff that I stuck in there, but it is. Yeah. I mean, she needs to be moved into a certain place so certain things can happen, just like a chess piece, in a game. And so what piece is she? Is she a pawn? Is she, the queen?
Bishop.
What is she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She the horse.
Probably.
She could be the horse.
Knight,
Chestnut
right?
could be a horse on the chess. The knight. Well, I like the horse.
Well, yeah, as
the
a
knight, yes.
yeah.
Horse.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, I like
Right.
that.
Ooh.
But it's not just Chess who is intentional. All the names are intentional in the book, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All of them.
Do I need to start digging into the names?
You might. But you already guessed one. Well, you already guessed the part that nobody has caught on to because of the way it's written, people think that we hear about Grandmere's past, because we start with Grandmere telling us the story, but she's telling us the story of chess.
Yeah.
And but the people that get a backstory whose story we learn are important people. They're important people in the book. And there's some we don't hear about their backstory. We hear it from other people, but they don't get a section. They don't get a specific
Yeah.
backstory. Yeah.
We're talking about Espen here.
Yeah, Espen and Fenris. Yeah, the two of them.
Yes.
Those two
Espen and Fenris.
knuckleheads. Yeah.
That's why I love the book as well. You can see that there are a lot of things there for a reason. I don't know if it's right to call them Easter eggs or is it even more than Easter egg. And that's why I try not to guess about what's going to happen with the Roman situation because I feel like there is more there.
There's a lot. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beth, I know that found family is one of your absolute favorite tropes, and it's really at the heart of the Scent of Sea and Ash. What is it about found family that resonates with you so much, like both as a reader and as a writer?
I think I'm an only child, so that found family is like how I lived. When I friend really hard, I'm like, oh, you're mine. So, I think it's why it's one of my favorites. As a writer, I think it's a very accessible way to write. That's why I like to have so many characters and things. I think it just gives people, it feels cozy to me, maybe for some people, and I'm an introvert, so I don't really physically like a lot of people around me in real life, but in books, I like to have this family. I want to be part of a gang. I want to be in the action with people that know more than I do about different things, so it's not just me against the world. That's some of the times when I read the books where it's, the FMC is, just the heroine and she just has it all. She can fight and she does it. I feel a little left out. I feel a little lonely in those books, because I'm just like, man, she's carrying a lot. So that's just the way I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Kat?
Yes.
Why do you think Chosen Family resonates deeply with readers?
Well, I think just what Beth said. I mean, connection is everything. But I think because almost everybody wants to feel they belong somewhere, and psychologically, belonging is one of our deepest human needs. We often think family is defined by biology, but emotionally, that's not always true. And many people experience friendships, mentors, teachers, communities, or places, people that they've, connected along the way, that they've loved, and they love them more consistently than sometimes family members and their own family. Yeah. So these found family stories remind us that love isn't something we're only born into, but it's something that we can build. It's an incredibly hopeful message because it suggests that no matter where we come from, connection's still possible.
Yeah.
Remember, I have that saying, it's not the destination and it's not even the journey. It's the connections you make along the way.
Yeah.
I live by that.
Yeah.
I think I love the choice part of the found family. You kind of feel like this is your family, you're stuck with them.
Yeah.
And this is what you're getting. This is the support, the opinion. That's who you're gonna go to ask for it. And you might not necessarily get it, but there is that, opportunity to get another chosen family, the ones that will give you something that you probably missed out on.
Well, also remember, like you said before, is our core beliefs, the way we were raised, our core values about family. And if you have that same belief around the people that you meet, it's important to you, There's something inside our bodies that longs for connection and longs for community. And I don't think we're, as much as people love to be like, eagles and fly alone and be above that, it's really difficult to find your tribe. And it's an emotion. It's constantly an emotional need for us to feel belonging somewhere. Where are my people? Where's my tribe? And for those of us like Beth, I know you traveled a lot. I've traveled a lot myself. And when you travel, you make friends really fast, or you're alone all the time.
Right.
So you just make friends. I make them on the tube all the time, because you want that sense of connection no matter what. And you will find something to connect with someone else just because you have that desire for community.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the dedication to
Yeah,
my
it's true.
book, if you that
Yeah.
that kind of hints at why this found family. It's like, for those who still search for where they belong,
Yeah.
you know.
So, another major psychological theme in the book is grief. And what I really appreciated was that Chess doesn't simply recover after a few days. Grief isn't portrayed as a straight line or something that has to be completed. It stays with her even when she continues moving
Mm.
forward. Was it important to you to portray grief that way?
Yeah, it was because um that was the way I felt, you know. When I lost my mom, people were like, well, these are the stages you're going to go through. Like, when you go through
Yeah.
these stages, then you're done, you know? And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, well, you can take your stages and stick them. I get, like, some people like signposts like that, but I wasn't experiencing it in that way. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that way for me at all. So, the little box that I described for Chess, that's that in that way we are very the same. Chess and I are very the
Mm-hmm.
same.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Because she puts things away in that box in her mind to kind of process them later,
Hmm.
which I find very realistic. I mean, we spoke about grief with Kat
Mm.
previously, and you would probably agree with that, Kat, right? Like the way it is
Yeah.
described in what Chess is going through.
Yeah, grief is it's never linear ever. I mean,
Mm-mm.
people can try to get like you said through all those stages, but it's back and forth. You can go through everything and it doesn't just end when all of those things end either because they don't ever end. Especially
Hmm.
with someone as close to you as a parent or a child or a family member.
Hmm.
One of the healthiest portrayals of grief is understanding the healing doesn't leave grief behind. So the goal isn't forgetting someone or reaching for a magical finish line where that pain disappears, but healthy grief is learning how to carry that love differently. So over time, grief changes shape and it usually becomes less overwhelming, but it doesn't become less meaningful. And what I appreciate is that Jess continues moving forward while still carrying those losses with her. And that's kind of what
Hmm.
resilience looks like. It's not pretending nothing happened, but it's finding your way to keep living while honoring those people that you've lost.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's
And
never
she
Yeah.
linear.
says there's days I can peek under the lid, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
days she ignores the
Yeah,
box completely. And I think people
yeah,
need permission in a way. I mean,
yeah,
I felt like I needed permission to do that, instead of, you got to look at it, you got to handle it, you got to get through these phases of grief so that you
yeah.
can return to being whoever the hell you were before, I guess. And it's like, well, you'll
Right.
never be the same. You'll never be the same
Mm-hmm.
person after that.
Yeah, my sister passed away. I'm going to say more than almost 20 years ago, and I don't hold on to it and then show people I'm sad or anything. But on the day, or when it reminds me of her, or when my whole family makes cinnamon rolls at Christmas because that was our tradition as when we were younger, in her honor, because she always made them from
Hmm.
scratch. So any way I can make a cinnamon roll at Christmas time is how we do it, and our whole family connects
Hmm.
to that. But that's honoring her, even though she's not here with us. I feel like the energy and the people, that what they leave behind is still resonant with us. So
Hmm.
I always honor their presence at any given moment, and that
Hmm.
that ebbs and flows. Sometimes you can celebrate and sometimes you can be very sad, but it doesn't leave, and I don't want it to. Like, I'm part
Hmm.
of, she's made me part of who I am today, and I'm proud of that.
Right.
you know
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I found it very realistic what Chess was going through because
Hmm.
she went through major loss at some point in the
Yeah.
book, and
Yeah.
yeah, she had to cope with it.
Hmm. And she had to cope with it almost by herself.
Yeah,
Did that resonate with you, Beth, when you were writing that? Is that
Yes.
part of you coming
Yes.
out? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
the
That was
beauty of
definitely
writing,
it.
right? And that's the beauty
Yeah.
of
Although it's a
connection,
little
because every
Yeah, it's
It's
true. It's a
vulnerable.
little scary though. It's
Yeah.
vulnerable, and
Yeah.
a friend of mine's a psychologist, and I was telling her, when I told her I wrote a book, and I was telling her actually about Pearl and how much I loved him. I was like, I love him so much. It's unhealthy. I love him, and she got all Jungian on me, and I'm like, after she talked a
Ah,
little bit about what she knew, and I was like, this is a really personal book. This is
it
really personal.
but the most personal books are the best books. When you
Mm,
make yourself
hmm.
vulnerable, it's like music. It is like music and
True.
lyrics. It people resonate. Everyone's going to talk about their like some loss when they read
Yeah.
that, and they're going to
Hmm.
identify that because you put yourself out there. So, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank
Well,
you.
that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
I once spoke to an actress and she was nominated for an award, a theater actress. And she was telling me, she's like, I'm so happy just to be nominated, because the role that she was nominated for took out a lot of her. And it was basically about pregnancy loss. And
Mm.
she put all her experience, past experience, into that role. And it just basically, she said, it wiped me out completely. It wasn't exactly the same situation on stage, but it's just the emotions. And that's why I can never be an actress, because I would be scared of like digging this out and not being able to put it back, somewhere. Another thing that I absolutely love in the book is the choice versus fate. Because fantasy and romance are full of prophecies, fate, fated mates, long awaited heroes, people destined to break curses, save the world. And I think the reason why we lap it up is because of fairy tales. This is something that we heard as children. We
Mm.
always have something it's like somebody's gonna come and save the day, and we love it.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah,
Yay.
exactly. And it's not that the Scent of Sea and Ash doesn't have it. There are prophecies, there is fate, but your characters are still constantly making difficult choices. And when you were writing the book, did you have a clear idea in your mind of what was driven by fate and what was driven by choice? Like, at least in book one, not talking about the rest of the series, but just like
Yeah.
and you don't have to specify, but
Right,
just
right. That's
like,
the hard thing. It's like, how do I, yes. I mean, I did have kind of an idea of that. And I wanted to, what I wanted to show is that there's a difference, and then, um, and I didn't want to give favor to one or the other. I didn't want
hmm
to say choice is better or fate is better, or, I wanted to see what they both looked like when they were together in a
hmm
story, and both
hmm
important. So it's kind of
hmm
not a comparison, but I just wanted to show them both.
in real life, people we do think about, like, there are people who would be saying there's destiny, there is
Hmm.
fate, we do what we're supposed to do in this life, and there will be other people who
Hmm.
will be like, there is none of that. There's always that kind of clash. It's interesting because Romantasy has so much fate. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of authors, especially a lot of famous authors, are trying to get out of it. The ones that already have books out, they're serious. And there was like so much fate there. And now they're in their like book 5, 6, whatever, 7, and they're trying to get out of it.
I wonder. It kind of paints you into a corner. I mean, it really does dictate how your book's going to be, right? If it's all,
Yeah.
you can make up whatever fate it is, but still, it kind of locks you in. Yeah.
That's true, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Kat, from psychological perspective, do we need to believe we have agency, even like when the circumstances are outside of our control, or is it actually easier to believe that everything is predetermined?
I think we absolutely do. I think one of the strongest predictors of psychological well-being is believing our choices matter. So even when life gives us
Mm.
circumstances that we didn't choose, we still need to believe that we have some influence over what happens next. So that's why stories combining like fate and free will are so compelling. So the
Mm-hmm.
prophecy might create that circumstance, but characters revealed through the choice people make within those circumstances. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In therapy, we often can't change the past or history, but we can always decide what we're going to do with that. And that's kind of where hope lives. So
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm.
take what we had and we choose what's next.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to forget about it, but we have to
Right.
realize that this is where we are now. And I do that with clients all the time. I help them realize that we aren't our past. Sometimes our brain, if we keep focusing on things that history has brought us, and this might be, you know, where we're supposed to be, sometimes our brain thinks it's happening right now, and it's not happening right now. It's history. And what happens right now is up to us to make that decision for the future. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That
true.
makes sense.
I think when I was a teenager, I think I was more inclined to think about fate, you know, and destiny and like where your path like kind of leading you. But as I got older, it became important to me to, it's my decision that
yeah.
I got myself here, not fate. Question for both of you. Where do each of you land on this? Do you like the idea that your choices shape your life, or do you find comfort in believing some things are simply meant to happen?
Go ahead, Kat.
Can you start?
Yes.
Well, I think it's probably both because there are events in life that none of us choose: illness, loss, unexpected opportunities. Even the people we meet, sometimes we feel like it's often sometimes impossible to even explain. But I don't think that moments define us. I think what defines us is how we respond to those moments, like I was saying earlier. So perhaps fate opens the door, but our character decides where we want to walk through it. So how I respond to those circumstances, and that's where my choice lies. Yeah.
I like choice. That's my.
Yeah.
I mean, fate's good. I always say kismet, you know, and I'm always like, that's good, but
Yeah.
I want the choice.
Because fate is so unpredictable, right? Like, and if you hold on to it too long, then you sometimes can't get past it, and that sucks.
Yeah.
You know,
It feels
When
stagnant. It's almost like I really want this. I'm waiting for it. You know.
I think of it
And I-
in relationships, and sometimes in unhealthy relationships, we hold on to them because we think it was what was meant to be, and it's really hard to walk away from. And so, when you have that unhealthy relationship, sometimes you have to go into your ration mind and say, "Is this what I really asked for? Is this respectful? Is this, you know?" And go down the line of you. Don't miss those red flags, but then also in relation. I'm not talking about just love relationships and partnerships. I'm thinking with friendships and with, you know, other areas, business relationships. You've got to, fate is beautiful, but then when fate turns into unhealthy relationships, it's not beautiful anymore. We
Yeah.
need to really make
Yeah.
choices to keep it going, because there's always two involved, two ways involved, and two people, two events. So yeah.
Yeah, because it actually reminds me of the conversation that we had probably multiple times about choices, right? And that's exactly that situation when you think, oh, it's fate, something's happening, and you get kind of sucked into that mindset.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly like, I don't have a choice,
Right.
which is never true.
We taled about that. Yes. You
Yeah.
always have
Yeah.
a choice.
Yeah.
You can say I didn't have a choice, but you always have a choice. It's just the outcome of the circumstances of what you choose is what's going to be the result.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that is probably the danger of relying on this idea of fate too much.
Right.
I'm all about fate. I'm all about serendipity. I'm all about,
Yes.
you know, I'll say yes, kismet, everything until it doesn't serve me and I start to get depressed. And then I'll be like,
Yes.
let's find another way around that mountain. Let's take a shovelful from the other side of the mountain and see if we can go up that way, or yeah.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, Beth, without
Yes.
giving anything away, is there
Oh.
something you'd encourage readers to pay close attention to while reading?
I think they should pay close attention to the named chapters, the chapters that aren't chapters. There's no number with them. They're just named.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can't wait to reread the book. I think I think I caught some important things, right, according to you, that I know, but I can't wait to
Yes.
read and find more.
Yeah.
I'm getting on the names straight away. I need to know.
Yes.
Have a look. Yes, they're not that
Yeah.
deep, but but Chess's is the most telling of all the names.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick fire.
Uh-oh.
Quick fire questions for you. Which character would you trust to keep a secret?
Chess.
Survive a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, Fenris and Espen. They would.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cook dinner.
Oh, cook dinner. Lovey, of course.
Oh, I was thinking you were going to say quarantine.
Oh, well, it could be quarantine too.
Well,
Yes,
them together.
I know.
Um, accidentally burn the house down.
Oh gosh. That would probably also be Fenris and Espen because they're a mess, those two. Yeah.
They're a good duo. I love them. I
Yeah.
mean, it's funny because when we were chatting before the recording, we were just talking about how Fenris reminds us of every guy who disappointed us in life.
That's how I wrote him. I was like, all of y'all. Your name is Fenris and he exists in a book.
Holla.
So yeah.
Well, that's all we have for today. Beth, thank you so much for joining us. This was such a
Yes.
great
Such
conversation.
fun.
This is
We have a
fun.
new
We should do
friend.
this all the time.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Beth, where can our listeners find your book and connect with you? I know you have at least one event planned very soon.
Yeah, they can find my book right now on Amazon in ebook as well as paperback. It's soon going to be on Ingram, so that'll put it in Barnes and Noble and different things like that. Also in paperback.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I have an event. Well, I actually have a local event coming up on the 11th in Longview at Magpie Books between 2 and 3. I'll be doing a signing there, and then at the end of the month, I'll be in Seattle at Readers and Writers, which is a kind of a small con, a little book con up there.
Whoop, whoop.
When is that? What are the dates at the end of the month?
End of the month, it's the 25th. I go up there the 24th, and it's the 25th. There's still tickets as far as I know.
I'm there on the 29th.
Ah, I just missed you. Darn it. Drive up, meet you for a cocktail or something.
Yeah.
There you go. Is the book on Kindle Unlimited or not?
Yes, it is on Kindle Unlimited.
It is.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
we are
Very
doing an audiobook. That's coming. They're recording.
Yay. My
They
favorite.
were a little, I know. I can't wait to do my first immersive read I'm going to do on my book, listening and reading, because I don't usually do that. So I was like, oh, this will be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I love that you
Yeah.
can read your book. There are a lot of people
Yeah.
like, I don't want to.
On release day, everybody was like, what are you doing on release day? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I should really come up with something special to do. And my friend Miles Leon, he actually, I think it's Lion. People are saying Leon online, but he wrote Price of Fear. And he's DMing me and he's just like, you got to do something that you can do every book release. So I sat down and read the last 77 pages of my book. I'm like, I'm going to do that every book release. I'll do that on release day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
that's awesome.
If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share. It really helped us grow. And you can find us on Instagram at Minds Over Magic or email us at mindsovermagicpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
And until next time, keep your mind sharp and your heart open.